welcome to Geekology. I'm David Sibilia.
And I'm Sven Harvey.
And today we're going to do a Star Trek, the official Starships Collections Starships.
Yes.
I'm getting better at saying that as these
coming out a little easier
go on.
now, isn't it?
Okay, so Eaglemoss,
Yeah.
I was going to say episode, but it's issue even 16 and 17 of the collection. So we're starting to get quite a few in under our belts now.
Yes, absolutely.
So let's go numerically.
Okay.
The Ferengi Marauder.
Yes.
Now, what did you think of the magazine for this one?
I had a quick flick through. I haven't really read it hugely because I'm not.
It's a Ferengi
Marauder. I've already know quite a bit about the ship because it's been around since the first season of Next Gen. It's turned up numerous times over the years, and we've learnt a bit about it. It is not my favourite ship.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination. It's
Okay,
no Warbird, is it? But
now you see, I did read the magazine cover to cover purely because the paint job struck me as being so different to what you see in the manuals, because when you see them in the manuals, the tech manuals, you never get to see the black lines.
No.
You never get to see the engine ports on the back properly. It's always a proper schematic. They're always drawn.
Yeah.
So to see the paint job on this, when I first opened the box and saw it, I was like, really? All that black, and why is there a white mist? And yeah, I wasn't sure what was going on with it, so I did read the magazine through, and nope, the magazine didn't really tell me much. They based it on the model rather than the CG version, which is nice. The white mist, I actually remember the story why that's on there, and the magazine doesn't cover it, which I thought was quite interesting.
don't think many people know about that.
Well, it's one of those things. They were trying to save a few quid when they built the model.
Yeah.
And because it was going to be backlit, rather than CGing it, they just painted straight onto the model, thinking, well, we'll repaint it when they needed to, and they never did. And it's the version they used, so it's got it on there. So what it's actually got is a special effect painted on it.
Yes, essentially. Because that was from the last Outpost, wasn't it, when it first turned up, which is quite interesting. Again, we've got the situation where one side is quite nicely painted and the underneath is completely plain.
Yeah, and why? Because we didn't see the underneath.
No, we've never seen the underneath of one ever.
Oh, so, no, we did, just not in that detail.
Yeah.
And it was later, it was Voyager, that we actually got to see a proper undershot.
But again, it was a darkened one, so you couldn't really see much. And it's actually got all exactly the right markings for the ship from Last Outpost. One thing I have just noticed that's quite nice is that it's got light piping. So if you hold it up to the light, or put a light source through the windows on the bottom, it lights up the nacelles, which is quite nice. It's quite cool. I always did kind of like what they did with this, as far as it's basically a horseshoe crab. But I think it was a case of they tried to push the Ferengi in this particular episode a little bit too much. They were trying to make them the villains for Next Gen, didn't they? And it failed miserably.
You can't have villains with the psychological makeup of the Ferengi, because at the end of the day, they'll do whatever for the money. Yeah,
exactly. It doesn't. They just didn't really work in the show for what they wanted them to be.
Well, they tried pitching them as space pirates, and but they're cowards.
Yeah.
As a species, most of them are cowards. It just it didn't really work. But it's funny because in Next Gen, the whole concept of the Ferengi just really didn't work in any of the episodes. But it has to be said that Armin Shimon really brought a lot to the cat, which is why they used him in DS9. But the Ferengi didn't really get good until Deep Space Nine.
No, quite absolutely. When they started fleshing everything out.
They actually thought through them. They gave them more of a rich back history rather than just a generic that this is what they are. So
because they were never going to. I mean, this is the thing, is they were supposed to be pitched originally in Next Gen as the alternative, the basically Next Gen's version of the Klingons, weren't they? And that was never going to work, which is why the
Romulans tried a lot of things in the first season.
Which is why the Romulans came back at the end of the series. That season.
Romulans are a much more interesting character base.
Yes, especially when you start mixing in the whole Vulcan.
Okay, so metal for the top, plastic for the base. I like the fact of the yellow plastic they use on the nacelles.
Yeah.
There's no moulding defaults, which you get with some of the more complicated ones, because quite literally it's just a top and base stuck together. So really easy to make on behalf of the company producing them. It's, as a model, it's fine. Obviously, it's Ferengi ship, so not huge on my list, but I'm sure there are plenty of Ferengi fans out there who are going to be thrilled with that particular one.
Absolutely. One drawback is that cradle.
Yeah, the cradle. I don't think this one was specifically designed for this ship. They've literally gone, this one will do.
Yeah, exactly.
So it hasn't got its own specifically moulded one. It's
I've
just
got a
one
feeling
that
that's the
will
one
work.
for the Voyager.
It possibly could be.
Yeah.
I'd have to get them down to check. But
Absolutely.
for the money, I'm very happy with that. It's not prided to piece anywhere, but it's there.
It's a reasonable representation, and that's, you know.
Yeah, but
that
at the end of the day, though, that's what this collection's meant to be about.
Exactly.
It's meant to be about you having all the, you know, they're not all going to be your favourite ships, but the point is to give you a good section of the universe. Now, this one, I'm so surprised they did it.
Yes.
Totally thrilled that they did it. I loved that they put it on the proposal list, and the fact that they actually got it out there is great. So, what we have here is the U.S.S. Dauntless, which is a mythical starship, technically, because not actually a real one. It's beautifully done. They used the plastic for the nacelles on the underneath, where ordinarily we'd say it's a deflector dish, but obviously due to it not being a Federation starship, it's all very arguable as to what you'd call any of it. But the moulding is really nice. Again, top metal, underneath plastic.
Yeah.
A clip and clip place, which means the top and base just clip together, and then the nacelles are added on separate, which a lot of these, to be fair, are.
Yeah.
No real obvious errors on this one, which is always very pleasant.
But then how can you have an error on a starship that didn't really exist?
No, but the ship itself was a CG ship.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's quite, you know, you could argue all sorts of bits, but yeah, it's nice. I love the fact that in the magazine they go into quite a lot of detail about it, and then they just sort of run out of steam.
Yeah,
so they make a big 7 of 9. And what was the bit about the magazine you enjoyed? Because you said there was one thing you particularly liked.
Well, they kind of pointed out the things about the ship that would have been things that the Voyager crew should have realised made it not a Federation starship. So there's Sarah's little things, but one of the things they said is NX-01A. Surely it should have been called Enterprise. Of course, Voyager was before Enterprise was done, so NX-01 Enterprise hadn't existed.
You know, the whole concept of the NX range of ships, because obviously the Defiant was an NX. It as an experimental marking, I just think it's fine. So
absolutely.
It is good that they
just shouldn't have been NX-01, really, should it?
It just goes to show that, you know, revisionist back history is always possible.
Yes, runs into problems.
But again, the magazine. See, I always treat the magazine as the added bonus. The magazine's the nice bit I get on top of buying my model.
Yeah.
And I'm really pleased with it. I think Eaglemoss do a good job on that. These two, I mean, I have been unhappy with some of the models, but both of these I'm really happy with this time round. I like the fact that they went with the ship, and the fact that they've done it well is just, you know, it is exactly
certainly
what it is.
going to stand out in your collection as something a bit different from the Federation.
Although ironically, this is the first model I've ever broken.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't see because of super glue, but I broke the nacelle off, and I'm not blaming them at any stage because it was totally me. I dropped the darn thing as I took it out of the box, and the nacelle went bing.
But again, it just underlines the fact these aren't toys; these are models.
Yeah, these are models. These aren't toys.
Yeah.
So, any last thoughts?
Well, should we give them some grades?
Well, what are we going to grade it? You see, we keep giving grades to these.
We're giving them out of 10s, aren't we? So
yeah, no, it's not the out of 10s that I'm saying. All I'm saying is we grade them on various things, and unfortunately mine and your bias for the ships is sneaking in to the grade.
Well, so this is the thing, is you can't really review anything completely objectively.
Okay, well, the Ferengi Marauder, I'm you know what, I'm going to give it an 8.
Okay.
Because it is you know, a very good representation of the model version.
Yes.
Of
especially from our last Outpost.
It's not my particular favourite.
Mm.
The reason it didn't get a 9 is the fact that it's got the white spray wash on the back.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you know, it'd get a 9. They never, you know, I don't think any of this range is ever going to get a 10 from me because of the way they're manufactured.
Yeah.
There's no way, you know, it'd have to be a perfect version to get a 10. Yeah. So I think an 8 is a really good, solid.
I mean, from me, if I'd taken into consideration the fact that it's a ship I'm not particularly bothered about, being Ferengi, then, you know, it would have taken it down to a 5 or 6. But I'm going to give it a 7. Again, the wash annoys me.
And the stand.
And the stand, and the fact that the underneath, that's just a bit lazy, I feel.
Oh, I don't see. There you go. It's one of those bits tricky to say.
Knowing what it should be,
yeah,
it's difficult.
So as you can see here from the photos,
yeah,
they did a really nice job with the paint on this. But as we've said, you know, you can really see the white spray mist from the special effects, but the moulding points are good, and you know, it's just generally it's a well thought out one. And these pictures really do show it as it really should be seen. It's quite nice to get it in this detail. Now here we have one that I'm personally very excited about. I was thrilled when I saw it on the list. Now I know Voyager's not one of your favourite shows, but
it's still Star Trek.
It's still Star Trek, and it's a novel starship design, although you could argue it's not a Federation ship.
No, this is the thing, it's disguised, isn't
it? It's disguised.
And of course we're talking about the U.S.S. Dauntless. With its rather giveaway registry number of NX01A, which is like,
Yeah, I mean, you really enjoyed reading the magazine where it actually pointed out, well, wouldn't they have known this? And it's like, no, because it was recorded a number of years before
Enterprise.
I see. I love on the model how they've done this main deflector dish.
Yeah.
You know, it curves round. It's done with the same blue plastic they've done the nacelles with, and it just really works.
Yeah, it's really, really nice.
That's it. And as I said, the mould point on it is incredibly well. Hidden with the construction of it.
With the construction of the plastic going into the bottom of the metal part, it's not a giveaway, and it actually looks like panel lines.
It does. It works very well.
So it's really quite well done.
Although I must confess to our audience that I actually broke this particular one. Luckily in the photos you can't see it. I dropped it as I took it out of the box, and one of the nacelles came off, but really easily re-glued. I can't blame the manufacturing company for that. It was definitely my fault.
Yeah.
And as you said at the time, it just goes to prove it's a model, not a toy.
Exactly.
So I'm very pleased with this one. I think it's one of the stronger ones they've released thus far.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's as good as their issue 1 Enterprise, which is probably the best one of these they've done.
Yes, especially if you got the test marketed version.
Yeah, the test marketed version was slightly better. But I'm very, very happy with this.
I mean, the fact it's even got the Aztecing on it.
It's
really nice.
It is. I definitely feel it's worth the money.
Absolutely.
One of the lovely things for the American audience over the English audience is that whole cherry picking, and I definitely think that this is one that should be on people's lists.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Really in fact, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
You're going to give it a 9 out of 10?
Yep.
You know what? I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Okay.
It's nice. It is. But I'm saving my 10 for my space station. Listen, all I want is a space station. It's not that much to ask for.
Mushroom starbase.
Yeah, you know, I don't feel I'm asking that much of them. I'm really not. Yeah, well, I mean, we're mainly reviewing these now for the American audience.
Yeah. Because over in the States, you can pick them up in comic shops, can't you? Because they're being distributed through Diamond.
Yeah, they're done individually over there, and whilst there are 1 or 2 retailers over here that have them, it's mainly through subscriptions.
Yeah, I mean, they are still, I believe, still available through worldwide magazines and the magazine distributors, but virtually nobody's touching them on that basis, except for the odd special. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. But of course, here in the UK, it's quite easy to pick them up individually from the website. So
Yeah.
you know, that's worth bearing in mind. So if you do only want the Federation Starships or something, you can buy them.
You can cherry
on the
pick
website.
the ones from the section, which is good.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you very much for watching. You can subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and of course, there's the official Geekology website. Check out all the links below, and thank you for watching. Good night.
Bye.